intro and all that.
All right. Go ahead, Draco, if you want to do the
Wait, what are we streaming to? What are we streaming to?
YouTube. Oh,
That's
man.
it? No Twitch?
We're live, guys.
Hello, everybody out there. This is a Bourbon-n-Blockchain first. Tonight we're going to be doing a Bourbon-n-Blockchain After Hours. We're doing a happy hour where we're just going to have people come on and we're going to talk about different issues, different things going on around in the market. And it's going to be more of like an open forum, just conversation. And if just let the conversation lead where it takes us. So tonight, I think we're going to have a lot to talk about considering everything that's been going on in the market. With the market as a whole and all of the different types of projects that have been, failing or rugging and all this type of stuff. So I guess what we can kind of start off, Myron Gaines, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's happened earlier in the week with the price action with Bitcoin and Ethereum leading up till now.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to one of my friends. So he does mostly stocks. And I stopped doing stocks ever since I moved into crypto, but he was just watching the market and I was talking to him a little bit. He basically the SPY action this week just being insane, huge up and down swings. If you're doing quick trades, I think if you're scalping or if you're doing like day trading, you could be profitable, but I think any swing position, you just kind of get killed unless it's a long option. But he was saying basically that he thinks that when the market drops, Bitcoin is going to pump because it's more of a hedge. And I was like, man, absolutely. That's not how it's acting right now. So is the way it seems right now, basically Fed came out on Wednesday and they said before the Jerome Powell interview, they said that they're not going to mess with any of them. They're not going to change the plan. Basically, I think tapering starts or ends in, I think, March. They start going to raise rates. And so the market was positive when that came out because everything was already kind of, I guess, priced in. But as soon as Powell started talking, and I think their expectation was for him to say, hey guys, the inflation is just as we were expecting since December, and everything is pretty much fine. We're just gonna go with our original plan, no changes. While there's no changes, I think he came out and he said that inflation is worse than December, which is true. Inflation is pretty bad, so everything started dropping from there. We had a huge rally into Friday's closing, but I think right now the futures are red again. Let me check real quick. But basically, Bitcoin is just being futures green now. But Bitcoin is just following stock market pretty much exactly, and unless if we bounce from here, I think all these coins will make another bounce. I'm personally expecting another drop, maybe retest the lows of 32,000 or maybe even 30,000. But there's so much
optimistic.
You mean the bounce on 30,000?
Yeah, I think we're gonna hit below that. I mean, if we get a full-on stock market crash, which a lot of people are predicting, you know what I mean, then who knows how far we could drop. I don't think we can drop much lower than like 25K, just because I think that like that price right there, there'll be so many whales that are gonna come in and want to buy that it probably won't. But I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm mostly.
I was going to say, do you think it's even worth ever investing in Bitcoin at this point? Or if you're going to get into crypto, if you're going to take on the risk of crypto, I mean, is it even worth getting in Bitcoin just because the risk reward is there?
I think if you're new, dude, and you don't want to think about it at all, you could like literally set like a $20 a week or $100 a week in Bitcoin, bro, and you'll be straight. Like right now, especially, dude, this is a great time, I feel like, to DCA into Bitcoin.
Oh, man, I don't know. Do you think it's more likely that Bitcoin hits 300,000 first or 3,000 first?
300,000 before 3,000 for sure.
Yeah. Oh man, I would go 3,000, but
I don't think it will drop that low. And I think, like Titus says, there's gonna be so many whales buying up. And I'm in the stables, right? And I would love to see it drop to 3,000, even though that's not what most people would like to see. But it's just not gonna get there, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think either is that likely. I just think there's way better ways to try to 10x with similar risk than Bitcoin, you know?
Well, Bitcoin is low risk. You know what I mean? That's like the lowest risk.
I think Bitcoin is the lowest risk.
Yeah, you're not going to get rugged at all on that.
I think it depends on how you look at it. Like if you're looking at it as an immediate short-term gain, yeah, there's 1,000 other options out there. But if you're looking at it on a long-term gain, like if you look at, if you're looking at this chart, right? So it's a long-term gain, coming from over here. That's a lot of money going up, right? And if you're going to play the market yearly and sell at the high and get back in at the low, right? It's a pretty good investment. I think one thing to look at is if you're looking at short-term gains, Bitcoin is not a good option. If you're looking at long-term gains, especially if you have, diamond hands of putting it away and not messing with it, then yeah, I think Bitcoin's a great investment.
What do you think, Myron? Would you rather do Bitcoin or something like the S&P 500?
If it's between those two, Bitcoin 100%. But I don't think right now with the size of my portfolio that I will personally buy into any Bitcoin, because I'd rather buy into Ethereum, AVAX, Phantom, and different coins like that. But just also realize when Bitcoin drops 5%, all those other things can drop like 20, 30, or even more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But when it goes up 5%, those things can pump. But then the thing about Bitcoins is the devs never do anything, man. Can devs do something?
Yeah, they're not doing nothing. This is all investor driven, right? I wanted to bring this up again. This is the cryptocurrency market cap. So this is all the money. So if you're looking up here, 1.68 trillion, right? When you're looking at this in the last month, you could say that it's been sideways, but in reality, if you look at this number up here, that's 2.25 trillion, right at the top here. So that's been in the last month, and right now we're at 1.68. So that's a significant downward trend overall. When you start to get to the 7 days, the last 7 days, we're actually going upward, right? And then if you go down to 1 day, today we've lost. So we peaked out somewhere up here like 1.7 trillion, and right now we're at 1.67. So I think the market is confused at what they want to do. I think most investors are not super confident right now. And I think that's part of the problem with our price action. If we had more confidence, we would have more price action.
I'm actually really enjoying the market right now, if I'm going to be honest with you, man. This is like the nodes are printing. I'm just stuffing my fucking bags right now, dude. I'm making money, you know what I mean? And like the market's like, we're in a nice bear, dude. And you just stack these like crazy undervalued coins that once we get into the next bull market are going to do like 10, 20 X's. Like, you know what I mean? This is when we make the real money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, can you give me some examples of some? I know I've talked about it at length in the chats.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about it again. VXV is my favorite bad boy. That's my next. That's my diamond in the rough for the next bull run.
Mm-hmm. And VXV, and then what about like some of the more, like I personally think that some of these chain tokens, right? So Solana, Avalanche, AVAX, Polygon, like those are ones that are losing value right now that I think are going to have much higher value when the market rebounds.
I'm a Crowcoin maximalist. I pack those bags like all the time, like every couple of weeks, dude. I'm almost up to the $4,000 Crow card. I'm trying to get to the 40,000.
Oh man,
nice.
You're balling on that.
Well, dude, I feel like even if I get close, dude, if I just get to 20,000, I can just wait for the coin price to increase, and then I'll be able to get the 40,000. And it's like do you have an American Express?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any like high-end credit card, like a Visa Black or anything like that?
I have a crypto.com. No, I'm sorry, not a crypto.com. I have a Coinbase card.
Okay.
And I love it.
Well, the Coinbase card, when the max one, you get the concierge and stuff. So like I have
all the perks.
Yeah, I have an American Express Platinum card. So it's kind of similar. You can like call the number and you just tell them, I want to rent a car, you know what I mean? Or I need to book a hotel. And they literally do it all for you. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you're talking, so right now, CRO at one point was at 0.95. So it was almost at $1. It's gone about, it retraced down to right now it's at 42 to 43 cents, somewhere in there. 40 cents. So it's already been up here, right? So it hypothetically you could get up into this range. So if you invested now, you could 2x your money fairly easily. And I think CRO was on a good uptrend for a while, and it had more room, but the market itself kind of brought it back down.
I think that this has got a $4 in it.
Really?
Yeah, I think $4 is what it's got.
What market cap would that put it at?
I think that puts it at right around BnB's market cap. I think that's what I had it as.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, I
think
can
that's
see
what I
that.
did the math on.
They've been putting the full court press on. They got Matt Damon and some other celebs like that. I'm sure they'll have a Super Bowl commercial.
LeBron James just signed with Crow.com, bro. I immediately went and bought $400 more as soon as I heard LeBron James sign with him.
All right. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of NFL ads, so I'm sure there'll be like some.
Aren't they on jerseys too? Like, yeah, aren't they on basketball pants?
No, they're on UFC uniforms. It's not on basketball pants yet. I don't think they're. Maybe
but they bought a stadium.
Uniform. Yeah, they're on the Staples Center.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll probably see a Tom Brady Crow Super Bowl commercial, I'm sure.
Oh my God, dude. They're just blowing money on marketing, dude. And they're killing it, dude. They're absolutely killing it. Like, I think that Crow is going to be the biggest United States exchange, in my personal opinion, bigger than Coinbase.
Whew.
Yeah, I think you're onto something.
It could definitely happen for sure. I mean, it's an open market space.
Coinbase slept, dude. I don't know why they don't have their own chain out. They should have launched their own chain, but I guess because of regulation, maybe.
Right. Yeah, they want to be the most regulated. Like, they're following all the rules, right? USDC is the most regulated stablecoin, right? So they're trying to stay within all of the guidelines and rules. But that kind of brings up the next point. In the past couple of days, they've been talking about more FUD coming out of the U.S. government. Janet Yellen is supporting. I wouldn't say it's a bill, but it's language that's anti or potentially negative towards crypto. And then President Joe Biden made a remark that he's going to be having like a presidential order in the month of February that deals with cryptocurrency. So I think that that's also creating more uncertainty because they're not saying what it is they're going to do. They're just saying they're going to do it. So.
Yeah, my theory's always been, I mean, they're not going to kill crypto. It's just too easy to track what we're doing. I think the government likes crypto overall. They definitely want to regulate it. They definitely want to get their cut and make sure it's taxed. But I don't think they'll kill it because I think the IRS knows eventually they'll be able to track everything we do with it, eventually. So I think they like crypto, but they're definitely going to regulate it, but not kill it.
Yeah, I think a certain amount of regulation is absolutely needed. I mean, I think we're going to start getting into some of these projects that have done not so well in the past couple of days or weeks. A lot of that could be potentially avoided with more regulation, but at the same time, I mean, how much regulation do we want, right? It's like a double-edged sword.
I think some of the coins that's actually being underlooked right now is the crypto security section. I think one of the bigger one is what is it? Casper, CSPR, and those, I mean, there's no hype, there's nothing around it. It's probably just super boring stuff. And I mean, if you look at the chart, there's nothing happening with it. But this is kind of, I feel like the accumulation. If you think, I think these will eventually be necessary as crypto gets more and more mainstream on some of these more security. On these security plays, I think there's the CSPR. There's other. Let me see. There's HAI, Hacken AI. There's also DDoS. There's a few ones. I think long term these will be good, but these are, of course, not the ones where you buy and pumps 100% the next day.
No, yeah. If you look at all of these charts, they're very similar. In November, they got to a certain point, and then they kind of dumped. And a lot of these charts look like that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how long we stay in this current trend that we're in. Because if you look at these 3 months chart, back in November, between the 20th and the 30th, is about where their all-time high was for the last 3 months, and then they started going in a downward trend. And then previous to that, depending on the token that you were in or whatnot, it was in May. But some of these didn't pump in May because they weren't ready for it.
And these ones, I feel like you just hold, man. Like you wouldn't, if you believe in it, you wouldn't even trade it. You would DCA in, and if it pops 20 or more, you take some profits, or you can even get all out of it. But these ones, I feel, because they randomly, you'll just pump really hard, and especially some of the gaming token too, just randomly pumps really hard. Of course, it dumps really hard, so you gotta take your profits on these ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, the market probably is not gonna really make any crazy movements. I think like Bitcoin probably has to go over 38, hold that 40, then maybe we'll have some reversal. But I'm not even touching it right now. I'm not longing it. I'm not shorting it because I feel both ways kind of gamble right now. I would more so short it, but I have no idea what the SPY is gonna do right now.
Do you think that in the short term that it's going to lose, it's going to go downward, or do you think it's going to go up? I personally think that what we're seeing here is just like a blip on the radar. So we're going to have it go back up for a little bit, and then I think we're going to come back down.
Yes.
And when we come back down, I think we're to our last low. So we're going to form a new low. So our last one was in that 33,000 range, right? So I think we're going to find a new low. So we're going to go under 33,000. And that's where I think there's going to be a lot of buying opportunity. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but it does look like that's a potential.
Yes, I think any bounce right now. See, I'm bullish, but I feel like any bounce right now is kind of relief rally.
Right.
That there's needs to find, because there's no buyers. Because I think last time, if you remember way back when Bitcoin kind of bounced back, when it bounced back hard. And right now there's so much uncertainty in the market, and no one really wants to do anything. No one wants to do anything. And like most people, I think, are just afraid to get into the market. And until that bullish sentiment flows back, we're not going to have any huge moves. And I think there's more downside. I'm personally thinking that the institutions would love to get into crypto, and I think they made a killing on crypto last year, and they probably only allocated a very, very small portion of the portfolio to be even into crypto. And
whoa, hold on, Meyer. Wait, what? Can you repeat that last second again?
They allocated a small portion of the portfolio. Institutions.
You think, dude? I think that most people who bought last year are in the negative right now.
No. Institutions. If you bought in the beginning of the year, are you in the negative?
I don't know. We should compare some prices here. I think that a lot of stuff is retraced back past.
I'm talking about
all
not
their
the
gains
retail.
last year.
I'm not talking about the retail people. Because if you bought in the beginning of last year and you sold around December, there's no way you're in the negative right now. And the institution are not the diamond hands, right? They're not the diamond hands. And I think they probably allocated probably 1% of the portfolio, or even a little bit more than that, depending on what it is.
Yeah. So if you invested a year ago, right? So this is actually a good point. So January 31st, 2021, you are up right now, but not by much. If you just held all the way through and had no trades in between there, but if you were to do that, that would not. I wouldn't say that that's a faulty investment strategy. It's more of like, I'm holding on to this for 10 years, so you shouldn't be looking at the chart anyways, right? But if you're gonna take profits along the way, which you probably should, dollar cost average in and out, you could potentially be taking profits, during these big rips, right? So you could have been taking profits at 63,000, buying back in at 32,000, 31, 29,000, taking profits up here at 51, buying back in at 41. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's obviously, you're never going to hit those perfect numbers, but even if you're off by 10%, you're still making more money than holding, right? So, and I don't think huge institutional are doing that. I think they're buying and holding overall as an aggregate. So that's kind of, I think, resistance here too. So like, let's say a lot of this space in here that we're looking at is institutional investors over the last year, I think that we could have a good little cushion there to kind of help us, because we did have a pretty hard bounce here, right? If you're looking at a longer term map here. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
if you're an institution, you have to allocate hundreds of millions or even in the billions into this. Like you wouldn't be. I mean, all that is done on the over the counter, anyways. You wouldn't be going to
right
changes to be like, oh yeah, market buy at $69,000. Like that's just not going to happen. And so the institutions, would they want to buy this in the 60s or would they want to buy this in the 20s? And they have the power to drive it down to 20. I think this is probably a good segue if we can go into time to see what happened with Wonderland this week. Well, I guess what's been happening with Wonderland ever since it's starting to go pretty much a downtrend ever since it hits the 12,000 range.
It's hurt so bad to look at.
All DAOs that have rebase tokens that come out, all high APY DAOs are dead, dude. They cannot survive. The model is broken. It doesn't work.
The Wonderland especially is because it's one of the first one where you can take out leverage from their own platform. I mean, it's also their ecosystem where you take out the leverage and you can go 9-9 on this stuff, right? What they call it. And this drop is not it's not, a lot of this is due to the whale manipulation. I think people looking back now, it's very clear because this is ugly. Back in the day, I was looking at this, I think when it dipped to the 7,000, I was like, oh man, this is such a great price to buy. It was a little expensive. And at that time I got into heck instead and not time, which saved me a lot of money and made me money instead. But I think that dip, where you're looking at Draco right now, that's a dip I was looking at. I was like, oh man, this is a great time to get in. And if you got in, you made money for a little bit. But I think most people just diamond handed all the way to this drop.
Yep. And you know what? Not good.
So what exactly was the time scandal? Can someone run me through exactly what happened?
Oh, God.
So the time scandal is that Sifu is their treasurer. And he manages all the buybacks. Basically, he's so in charge of what happens to the treasury. I think maybe the investments are voted on, but regardless of all that, the guy that has the power to control the buybacks, has the power to move funds, he is a serial criminal, and it's not just one offense. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Quadriga. It's a Canadian crypto exchange. You guys know about that one?
I've never heard of it.
It's like one of the biggest scams in the recent times. The guy who founded Quadriga, the co-founder is actually Sifu. Well, he was one of the main guys that founded it. So what happened with Quadriga is just straight up a Ponzi scheme. And a lot of the funds they took, and they were it's a Ponzi scheme. And the CEO, before the implosion, I think he said he made all the assets to be under his wife's name, that if he dies, all the assets of Quadriga and him goes to his wife. And so after he did that, he went to India and mysteriously died of Crohn's disease. And his body was, he got death certificate in India and it was cremated. So no one ever saw the body. So a lot of people think that this guy's just alive. And
this part of the story, man, I don't know about this part. Yeah, but the previous fraud and he's a sussy guy, absolutely. But he murdered somebody, or I don't know.
No, I didn't say he murdered. I said the CEO faked his own death.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Enron conspiracy theories.
Yep.
Yeah, he faked his own death to take all the money, because what happened after the CEO, supposedly died is that they came out and they said the CEO had the wallet. And basically the wallet, no one can access it because CEO is dead. But people were suspecting that he didn't actually die. I'm not saying the Sifu guy murdered him. The guy faked his own death. That's what a lot of people are believing.
Sifu is that guy, and he faked his own death so he can keep all the money.
Sifu is not the CEO, but he's part of the main guy for Quadriga.
Right.
Oh.
So the guy
and he got like facial reconstructive surgery.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yes.
So the guy who faked his death, has there been any like wallet activity? Like wouldn't you see some wallet activity or something?
I'm not sure.
No, I think it's all locked. Like I don't think it's moved or anything like that. And I think he went to like India. I could be wrong on the country or whatnot, but
yeah, India.
Like he went to India and he's never been seen since.
Okay.
So it could legit be
That's
dead. But
interesting.
basically, at that time it was worth hundreds of million, and now it's worth a lot more than that. And so basically, he was involved in that. Before that, this guy Sifu, of course, all this is an allegation. We're not making any claims here, but this is what people are saying on Twitter. Before that, he was involved into I think, identity theft ring, where basically they sold credit cards and things like that. And I think that there's one more time where he got in trouble. So you got this guy who has multiple offenses related to fraud and everything running. At one point, this was over $1 billion in the treasury. And there's people who claim that he's the
What do
one
they
that
even
kind
do
of
with that money?
They have invested some of that into farming and different projects. So I think Danny's goal eventually, back in the day, it was become their own venture capitalist.
It's getting shut down now, right?
Well, they had a vote actually that whether they want to basically refund everyone their money, basically whatever you have, they'll buy it back at the backing price, or they keep going with the project. And for a while, they were actually winning on to just disband everything. And I think they fought back now that to keep the project going is actually winning. Let me see the percentage. It's actually kind of close. So basically, a lot of the whales bought in at a super cheap price, and they voted to disband it. And at one time it was like 70-30 to disband it, and now it's 55-45 to keep it going.
Yeah. So this guy right here is this guy Sifu. After he did some work to his face and things like that to look different. I'm trying to find that. Yeah, there he is. So This is the original mugshot when he was arrested or whatnot, and now he looked like this. Which, I mean, he doesn't look that much different, but yeah.
But it is him. He didn't deny that.
Oh no, it's him.
He is a Quadriga guy. Like that's him. I think that's pretty much proven.
Yeah,
and
no,
I think,
it's him.
Wow.
And I think he was responsible for. People were saying that he's responsible for a lot of liquidation, but basically what happened with this huge downtrend is, when it gets to the backing price, liquidation price, all the whales just got together and just dumped it, and it starts triggering a chain of reaction on the liquidation. So all these, little guys, the retails, they get liquidated out, and the whales back in. And once it, goes back up again, retail never learned the lesson, start leveraging again, doing DGen 99. Then the whales come back, drop the price again, liquidate people again. They rinse and repeat. And I mean, at the lows, Danny himself got liquidated. Like, he woke up and he got liquidated. I think it was probably millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're going to learn from this, I think one of the things that we learn is that maybe the quickest opportunities to make money aren't always the safest. And I think some people understand that. That doesn't mean that you avoid those investment opportunities. You just have to go into that game knowing that that's the potential, right? You're playing with fire. And a lot of people don't know that. They invest long term. I'm one of them. I rode it all the way up. I was at the $9,000 and I was at the bottom. So I didn't fare well on this project, and I was invested in it. And if you would have asked me 2 months ago to give you an example of a good project to potentially invest in, I would have told you that Wonderland Time was one of those projects. And I think everybody in this chat would agree.
Time was considered blue chip completely. Like I put Time. I was like, okay, you got Time, you got Ohm, and you got Strong Block, and everything else is gambling.
Dude, I learned my lesson with the nodes, bro. After I got rugged with the node season and node season came through, I realized, I was like, yo, dude, this is too good to be true. Like, I started thinking about it, and I was thinking to myself, like, yo, like, when soon as people stop buying these rebases, like, the coin's just gonna plummet, like, because they're just printing more coins and people are just gonna sell them off. Like, you know what I'm saying? The model didn't make sense. It's like we were fooling ourselves with the nodes, and I felt like we were doing the same thing with Wonderland. Like, yeah, the APY was great, we were making good money, and we lied to ourselves.
Yeah,
I think the first red alert is, the first alert is when people saw that the Lambo calculator was taking off the website, so no more Lambos on Wonderland Time. But it's a great fundraising. Rebasing is a great fundraising tool, but after that, you need to take that money and put into somewhere where you're actually generating revenue. I think that's where Heck is trying to, move away from that. If you look at Heck's APY right now, it's like 200% versus what are they hundreds of thousands or even into the millions? And they are moving in the right direction because now what's going to make Hex survive in the long term is not, oh, we're going to give you this crazy APY because that's just going to crash the project. And they know that. So now it's about the NFTs, it's about the game, it's about this ecosystem if they can create it to make it happen. And I think one thing that about this whole Frog Nation that Danny created, that it was a strong ecosystem. It was, it was a good community. But the thing that really got to people wasn't that Sifu was so much this Quadriga guy. It was that Danny knew about it for weeks and he didn't tell anyone about it. And that's what's losing, causing a lot of trust thing.
He knew
now.
from the beginning.
He didn't. Well, that we don't know. We don't know if he knew from the beginning, from his perspective. He said that.
Dude, you don't give the keys to billions of dollars without. Man, I'm never in my life would give the keys to billions of dollars to somebody who I didn't know who they were.
Yeah. So, that can be argued. But we don't know if he knew from the beginning, but we do know for sure that he knew for weeks. Just like what Draco has up right now from this text message. Like he knew about it, but he didn't want to tell anyone about it because I guess they didn't really know how to answer people. But the thing is, if people knew that, hey, this big criminal is running this project as the treasurer, I think this project wouldn't have blown up like it has.
So well, here's another thing to think about, and this is just fundamentals, right? So I'm not making comments beyond the fundamentals of this, what I'm going to say. When it comes to a big project like this, and somebody has been previously convicted of a crime involving fraud, specifically with funds, like whether it's anything related to fraud, right? You cannot be part of these types of projects. These are called financial institution projects, right? So if you have people running those, you could find yourself in even more issues, especially if you know, right? So if you knowingly engage in financial relationships with an individual that's been convicted of a financial crime federally, now there's a whole new animal of issues and problems. And I think Smoky Mountain might have an opinion on that as well, but you can't, they literally legally can't operate in that space. So that's a whole nother issue.
I think if you're a CPA or a lawyer, you're outright forbidden from ever practicing law again or being a CPA again. It's just crazy. I mean, nobody in their right mind would ever get involved in a project where someone had a crime that involved fraud or theft or embezzlement or any kind of crime like that. It's just insane. So, and we have so many we have more projects that are undoxed with undoxed teams than doxed teams, it feels like, in DeFi. I mean, do you guys think that there are any legitimate reasons to stay undoxed for the long term, or should we be suspicious of every single one of these?
Well, I think Fiscus Phil, man, he's shown that you can have a financial crime past and still launch a protocol. With
it hasn't launched yet, has it?
It's launching next month, but he has millions of dollars, and people aren't ripping his head off. So, and he's not in jail yet either.
Yeah,
so,
I just think that it's kind of funny that we have a popular node project Thor, and I don't have anything against Loki personally or anything like that, but I just think it's kind of funny that they're marketing themselves as the union of transparency, and we don't know who a single person is involved with that project. I mean,
right?
What exactly are they being transparent about? That a project exists? I mean, the number one thing we want to know are who are the people behind it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was going to get to. Number one, my response to your question, King Titus, is yeah, he might be doing what he's doing now, but what you don't understand is there's certain elements, right? Like crimes have elements, and when you meet those elements of specific crimes, that's when it triggers certain things that are actionable. And maybe, just maybe, he hasn't hit all of those check marks yet, right? I will tell you that what he's doing and what he's involved in with his criminal history, it should not be happening. Absolutely should not. But obviously that's just my opinion. So, but on top of that, that does bring up to the good point of what Smoky Mountain's also saying. Should we be trusting these projects that are not doxed? I think that all of us need to start changing. I mean, and when I say all of us, not just us here, but all investors across the landscape need to make a new, have better standards. They need to start saying, well, this is what I'm going to invest in. And again, even if you say I'm available and I want to do these DGen 100x projects with all the risk, that's fine. But just also know that when you do that, you're giving these projects more power because you're also involving yourself in it. You're giving them liquidity, right?
I disagree, man, because you treat DJ investments different, man. Like, when I'm doing my blue chips and stuff, dude, I know I'm gonna put a couple of racks here, I'm gonna put up another couple of racks here, I'm gonna put another couple of racks. When I'm doing my DJing, bro, this is like, oh, I got gains from here, or I got 4 AVAX today, or I got 10 AVAX today. You know what I mean? It's like it's a whole different ball game. Like, you just have what you have left over on the side. It's not something that you're not gonna be worried about losing, versus
I mean,
a real
I see that's like a personal investor's point. What I'm saying is, no matter how you cut it, by investing into that project with whatever money you decide to put into it, you're empowering that project. So the more we give these projects attention, the more they're going to continue to steal people's money.
I don't know how to stop it, though.
I think Keith
Stop
said it
investing
really well
into
here.
it.
Yep, and he said, this is either a PvP game or PvE game, and there's coins where the only way you're winning is you're taking from someone else, and if the project itself is not generating revenue, is not generating returns on its own, then the money you're getting from someone else. And I feel like there is a space for DeFi as a service, but the thing is, looking at the track history of some of these projects like Thor and the Power or even PXT. Again, I'm not making any personal statements about them. I'm just saying, just looking at what they invested in. I know PXT invest in time before the huge liquidation last week, and I know some of these projects, investing in time, invested in Hex. So basically, invest into a lot of these things that has dropped probably at least 50% or more. And at that point, that's the rebases and things like that is not going to have paid them back. So far, I don't see any winning investments from them. And if they're not making this money from these projects, then all that money that's getting paid out is from other people. And basically, you're getting paid either from people compounding it, or you're getting paid from new investors. And some of these also very, very low liquidity coins that pumps, 10x, 20x, 30x, you're literally taking money from people who came in after you. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if they know, and just like you said, Titus, that if you're playing with 1 AVAX, 2 AVAX, and if your port is $100,000, I don't see anything wrong with you putting $500 into one of these projects. But the problem is people have $2,000 port and they throw $2,000 into these projects. And that's the risk management issue that I think most people are not mentioning. I think the crypto space right now, especially into DeFi, I think, you have the investors, you have the people who are looking into white paper and looking at how these projects, are they legit, are they not legit? But I think most people are straight up gambling. They don't look at white paper, they don't read anything. Give me the contract ID, I'm going to throw $500 in, and hopefully it goes to 2,000, 10,000, and sometimes it hits, most times it doesn't.
Yeah, and people are losing a lot of money.
I think that they like doing that, though, man. It's like going
to the casino. Gambling.
People love to go to the casino.
I know, it's gambling, but the thing is, but you're either gambling or you're investing. If you say, I'm trying to get into this DeFi space, I'm trying to get to crypto as an investor, I'm trying to build some long-term wealth, you don't build long-term wealth by going to the slot machine. You don't build long-term wealth. You can do a little bit, right? Like if your portfolio if you allocate 10%, even 5%, maybe 10% a little high to these degen plays, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're throwing 50 or more percent after these plays where you have, nothing about, well, unless you have a strategy, right? If you're like, oh yeah, I'm super good at sniping and I'm taking profit at 2x, I'm doing this. Like if you have a strategy going into it, then that's fine. There's people, I feel like, if you that's your thing and that's your strategy. But a lot of people, I'm buying, I'm holding because I saw it on Twitter, and you get dumped on.
But my thing is like I find it hard to defend any of these projects that have literally rugged or gave up and took the money, because they're taking people's money, and that's what I'm talking about, that we're empowering. Some of these projects have just failed, right? But if we're talking about projects that are literally rugging, I have no compassion for that project. I don't think we should defend these projects. And these are the types of projects that we're putting money into and empowering. And I don't agree with that. I don't think anybody in this space should be doing that. I think investors need to come up with a better methodology and higher standards. Like right now, our standards are bottom of the barrel. Anybody can make something. And if it sounds cool, or they're getting attention on Twitter, you're just going to throw your money at it. It doesn't matter. No fundamentals whatsoever. And I think that's where people are wrong. We need to stop doing this. And until we do, people are going to stop. They're going to continue to steal people's money because we're just giving it to them. We're handing it over.
That's never going to stop until we get real regulation, man, because anybody's going to be able to do this. And, let's be honest, dude, you don't know if, this 14-year-old kid in his, bedroom is going to be the one to come up with the next popular idea that goes viral on Twitter and hits
Right.
a $100 million market cap in like 6 hours. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think you are playing the opposite end of the field with these statements, but I will say, like, at least what we should do is surround ourselves with the people that we, engage with and tell them to be very careful with those investments, because those are the people that are getting, it's more tangible to see somebody lose that money, right? Rather than just random investors.
I think what David Moss is saying, I think he has said this, even I guess with his collaboration, the potential partnership with Heck, that he does want a doxing. He doesn't want to work with anyone that's not doxed. And I do have kind of agree that if we want to bring a legitimacy into this DeFi world, I know, this is kind of counterintuitive because crypto is supposed to be this place where we can be anonymous and we don't get tracked by the governments and things like that. And I think Smokey makes a really good point that I believe eventually crypto is going to be used to completely counter that, as that now they're going to give you the chance to draw people in. Hey, you can have this anonymity, but eventually cryptos can be used to track every single transaction, bring us into a whole world economic system. But the thing is, but I do feel that if you're running hundreds of millions of dollars of funds, that you need to stand out and say, I'm the CEO, this is who I am, and to take that responsibility, show some transparency. I think that's going to bring people a little bit more faith. And again, honestly, doxing or not doxing, for the project itself, I don't think fundamentally makes any difference. It's not like, they dox and suddenly the better coders, or suddenly they get more like brilliant ideas. But it does give the community a sense of comfort, and it does, now they have more responsibility on them because they can't just disappear. They have to, I guess maybe try harder.
Well, what is the point of these third-party KYCs? Like, I understand the devs will give their identity to this third-party KYC. What does that third-party KYC do? If there's a rug, then do they dox them or what?
No, I think if they rug, they can actually take legal actions.
Well, no, they don't take legal action. So if they rug, then you contact them. They'll tell you the country that the person is based out of, and then you have to contact the police, and they will transfer that person's KYC over to the police at that point.
Why don't they just take it a step further and say, okay, if you rug, we get to reveal your identity to the public? I mean,
I'm sure that's illegal.
I would be happy with that because there might be some legitimate reasons to stay anonymous.
Until someone gets murdered and then they're going to get sued.
Well, then, yeah. Well, I mean, when you're playing with people's money, millions of dollars, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a reason to avoid that, right? When I'm saying avoid that, I'm saying to avoid doxing yourself. But if there are repercussions, maybe you would make decisions differently, because
I agree.
we're giving that. That's what I'm saying. We're giving these people the opportunity to do this because we're entering into a contract, right? By giving them money without any repercussions or any transparency. And that's what I'm saying that needs to stop.
I agree, man. I don't think that anybody who has more than $50 to $100 million in their protocol should be able to continue without being doxxed. I mean, I think that we should be able to stand up and tell these guys to F off, or even what would be even better is if we started a DAO to hunt these people down and to expose them. You know what I mean? It's called a dox DAO.
Well, I was going to say David Moss isn't scared, and he started a very unique protocol that's very experimental, and he's not scared at all. He puts his name on it, and he's putting himself out there. So, I don't know if I really buy that excuse. I know there's a lot of whack jobs out there, but I mean, there's a ton of, throughout history, there's been a ton of rich people starting a lot of projects, investment projects. You just got to put yourself out there. These people can't just be scared of the mob. You got to have some transparency.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. I just think that, again, as we continue forward, I think that people are going to learn. And the worst part isn't just the people that are losing their money, right? It's the people that got into the space for 1 month, invested in time because everybody told them it was great because at the time it was.
Got fucked.
And then they got screwed, right? They lost all their money. Their sentiment is going to say that this is a horrible project, all of crypto is a scam, and then they're going to leave. And now we've lost
back a whole year.
Right. And then everybody else is going to hear about this. Like if you started researching crypto today, and the first video you watched is this video, your eyes are going to be open and you're going to say, what am I getting into? Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's some problems right now, and I hope it gets better. But if you're not educated enough in the space, you could lose your shirt.
Just like my PFP, he lost his shirt. That's why he's naked, man.
Oh, with the downward trend arrow.
Yeah, man. He went long 100x. Then he got wrecked.
He's got all that cash in his background, though.
Oh.
Hey, what was the weren't there a couple NFT projects that recently they rugged as well?
Well, I got rugged by one of the NFT projects, and it was called Frosties, and they minted out super quick, had a good roadmap and everything, had a bunch of people in the Discord, and then they just deleted the website and everything, which is really strange to me. So I got rugged on that one, but the thing is, I kept the NFT, so I guess I paid a couple $100 for a JPEG. Which is really crazy, you know, when you get these projects to rug, and when they have such a, it seems like they had a good community. It wasn't one of these trash ones where there's like 1,000, 2,000 people. I think it was a bunch of people, and it was quick minting and everything. And I thought they didn't even do the art, but they did do the art. They actually did the art, but of course it doesn't take long to do some of these arts.
Yeah. So I think another one, like there was a project today that dumped, right? I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, there was a project today that literally they just opened, and as they opened, they dumped.
David is saying that it's Scribbles.
Yeah, Scribbles rugged, and I don't know if it did or not. I haven't confirmed that.
Yeah.
And then there was another one.
Scribble had over 100,000. Well, most are probably bots, anyways, but they did have over 100,000 people in the Discord.
Do you guys think that people in general in the community cry FUD too much? Do you think we need to be more critical and not worry about FUD as much going forward, or how do we strike that balance between not being nothing but FUD, but also looking at?
I think if you did research, then you don't care about the FUD. I think a lot of people who are FUDing have there's legitimate FUD, right? If you're looking and there's legitimate concerns, I think it's good to FUD. And if you're going, you only have 15,000 Scribbles. I thought it was 100,000, but maybe that's Scribbles. Maybe I'm thinking about Scribbles. There's a bunch of these NFTs getting crazy. I have probably dozens of NFT channels I'm in right now that I can't even keep up. But with the FUD, I think, if you go into a project and you ask some legitimate questions and they ban you for that, that's probably not a good sign. That you probably want to stay away from that.
Okay, yeah, because one of our guys, Kerr, he publicly tweeted this out. He was in Red Node District or whatever, and he tweeted something out that the price went up from $3 to $10 or something like that before the contract even went live, and all he did was bring this up in the Discord, and he got banned from that project earlier today. It's like, yeah, that's not FUD. He wasn't trying to FUD. He was just bringing that up, and he got banned right away. Everybody cried FUD, and he got banned. So.
Yeah, another DAO project apparently that potentially rugged today was Data DAO Finance. Now this is just based on Twitter information coming through and people talking about it on Discord. So if that's not true, I'll admit it and apologize. But these are projects that people are saying are rugging currently, and one of them is Data DAO Finance, and apparently they're removing stable coins from people's wallets that invested in the project. So
whoa,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So do you guys think the DAO model is inherently flawed, or can it be done right?
I think it's a great good startup. It's a good way to start your project, but once you get to a certain point, you already have to have it in place to pivot from that point.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a good way to reward early investors, I guess,
and we haven't talked about this for a long time, and this was super hype. Rome DAO, right? So Rome DAO right now, one of their big issue with them, I mean, if you look at the chart, is also crazy. I think buy-in whitelist was just a couple dollars, went to 1,500 at the top. Now it's in the 40s, 50s. But RoamDAO right now, what they're trying to do is they're actually, well, the goal in the beginning was to build a game, and right now actually they have some resemblance of a game going on. And eventually, I think they're going to completely move away from this rebasing model. And right now, if you look on the website, it's not called rebase anymore. It's called inflation. And I think eventually this model is absolutely great. I think just like Draco said, great for raising funds, but then time to build. Like if your project is, hey, I'm going to be a rebase DAO, you're going to fail. And there's a bunch of those projects when Ohm Forks were hot that gives you billions of APY. And there's I'll say this: there's a degen play by me, but there's a project out there called Sierra DAO, and I thought this was back in when Ohm Forks were still hot, so I kind of bought into the pre-sale. I think it was $20, and it was vested, so it dumped super hard. And it was down to like $5. I don't remember which the price was. I put $1,000, $2,000 into it. Lost a couple $100,000. When it dropped back down, they say, "Hey guys, we have great news coming, great news." But then it's never anything specified. These projects just like big news coming, big news coming. So they said, but I did read that they're gonna up the APY. So I put another $1,000 in when it was $1.80 or something. And the APY is crazy. Like every single rebase, you're getting like 10%, 15%. I pulled my money out, made a couple $100 on that one. And today I looked at the price. The project came out and said, "Hey guys, the rebasing obviously doesn't work. We pulled all the liquidity from this project. And now all the people who are holding in this project will give you NFTs for our next project." In this project, they had one thing they kept saying. They said, "Rolled to $100." So this coin SRA, the rolled to $100, but right now it's like zero. It's like 1 penny. And they're saying, "Oh, guys, we're gonna give you this NFT on our next project that's gonna go to $5,000." And people were joking around in the chat, like, "Oh, so when you say $5, basically it's gonna be worth $5, or $5,000 gonna be worth $5." And it's ridiculous. And so the rebasing model, unless you're doing something, is not gonna work. And this is probably gonna offend people. Climate DAO is not gonna work. You're not saving the environment by investing in Climate DAO. You're not saving the ocean by investing in Diatom DAO. Like these DAOs, the purpose of these is to do something. Like if you want to make money from this, you cannot be doing a DAO that says, "Oh, our purpose is just to give away money." Like, okay, so how are you gonna make money?
We're gonna mint more tokens and dilute our treasury to make more money.
Mark Cuban got me with Klima, dude. I was like, "Oh my god!" He tweeted Klima. I was like, "Oh snap! Let me grab some."
Oh yeah, I 100% blame Mark Cuban.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and he got me. I mean, I think he believed in it too. But at the end of the day, maybe one of the things that we're looking at is maybe we need another pillar, right? So what we try to have projects do is we want them to doc, right? We want them to be transparent and all these other things. What if we need to add another pillar? What if the new pillar is you need to be represented by a crypto firm, like a crypto legal team? Because then if the project goes south, now there's a legal team that's responsible, that are going to hold them responsible, because no legal team is going to bring them on as a client, right? And say, "Well, we have all these people's information and they stole your money. Now they're legally obligated to comply." So maybe that's the next pillar: is you have to have a project, you have to be doxxed, and you have to have a team that is public, that we can see. Because if not, I don't want to give you my money, because there's no way for you to be responsible if you take that money.
Yeah,
I would love for that to be the case, man.
I think it's coming. I think it's right around the corner. I think legal teams and CPAs and all these people are right around the corner from saying that that's the next step for them, because obviously that's a moneymaker. But if you're in the United States, you better have a legal team behind you. And if you don't, you're going to get in a lot of trouble potentially. So why not be public about it? Who's your legal team?
Because do you guys remember the Enron scandal? And that big CPA firm, Arthur and Anderson, it wasn't just the Enron people that went to jail, but it was also the CPA firm. Some of those people went to jail as well. So most of the time, I mean, that's a really rare occurrence, but most of the time, these CPAs or these law firms, they're not going to want to get involved so deep that they're part of part of the illegal activity, you know. So I think that would help the space out a lot, just because if you have to get another party involved like that, you know, you're definitely less likely to run into rugs and scams and things like that.
Exactly. Like, think about it. If you're running an NFT project and you plan on making X amount of dollars, you know, let's say $1 million or more, whatever it is, and you're formulating a company, right, to do this. You're essentially formulating a company. Who in their right mind would do that without an attorney or without having any legal representation? So instead of beating around the bush, that's what we should be talking about. Who's your legal representation? Can we confirm that? Because if you try to take this money, we're going to them. I'm not going to come to you. You're going to disappear. But your legal representation's not, and they have all your information.
Yeah, I think that's what I think these KYCs are kind of trying to do, but not taking the complete step. I think all they do is just probably, I'm not completely sure what they do, maybe collecting your identity and confirm that it is them. And this is kind of getting the thing again, like there's people who in this world screams for anarchy. Anarchy doesn't work, and I think completed totalitarianism is not going to work. And in terms of this crypto world, I think a lot of people right now it's the Wild West, and right now it's pretty much anarchy. Anything goes in this world. And you don't know if you don't know anything about the devs, you don't know the history, you don't know. I think there's probably a group of people, especially during the gnome fork season, that goes around and just pop up new project, do another project, and rug. I think probably a systematic group.
Yeah, I think they're doing, dude. I think they're still pumping them out, man. I think there's a small group of people that basically run like 90% of the rugs. I think there's the same people over and over and over and over again.
Yep. Yeah. I think that there's some truth to that. Because if you go all the way back, there's a couple people on our research team that have looked at these projects and their sites that they've opened, and they're literally opening up a website off of, openyourwebsite.com for $50. And that's how they start. And then from that point on, it's just off to the races. And within 30 days, they're collecting $100 million in a treasury.
Yep.
And they're
time to be alive.
It's crazy.
I think that Power was a rug. I think that they weren't expecting the protocol to get so big. I think that when they saw $100 million, I think that they thought, how could we get away with this money? You know what I mean? I think that they spent it because that's why they were quiet for so long. They think it was like a whole week, 2 whole weeks where Power like didn't say anything at all. And like Ring was like dying and all this other stuff. I think that they were trying to figure out how to rug. I think Thor was too.
But they decided to go legit, I guess.
Yeah,
but
I think they realized they couldn't get away with it. I think they thought that somebody was going to find them. Enough of their information was out there to where their names and their families might be in danger. So they decided to tough it out because they could still make money just by, really doing the work.
To me, I don't think anything fundamentally changed on this Thor versus the Thor before. We just kept dumping versus this one that's, right now it's kind of pumping. And the thing is, right now, I think the one of the biggest change that we say that they made is they have the validator. But the validator is not hard to set up. If you give me money, I can set up a validator. And
every time the price of Thor drops, Loki goes out there and he cuts a Ric Flair caliber promo and he saves the project. And he's done it like 3 or 4 times now. And I tip my cap to him for doing that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if this thing's gonna last long term. You can only do that so many times. Eventually people are gonna get tired of the promo.
And I try to keep in the mindset of, like, I try not to discuss or get on the back of a project that's currently existing, because they could turn it around. Like, from an outsider looking in, and I think Heck is a good, example of this. Somebody could say the same things about Heck, right? But I think that all of us know a little bit more about that project, so we know that that's not the same. And they're doing everything they can to avoid those pitfalls. They're trying to make a pivot. They're trying to change their scenario. So they're doing everything they can to make a change. So with the projects that are out there right now that exist, I try not to have an opinion on them, because who knows what they'll do. They might make a huge pivot and change everything, So, but what I can make a comment on are the projects that have literally failed recently. And it's bad. Right now in our comments here, I'll grab one of them. In our comments, one of our listeners is saying Samurai, Soldier, and Ring
I have to give you a little background on Samurai. So I was in that. I got rugged on Samurai, but this was super early before I even know what's what. And it's super funny
Oh,
because
French.
yeah, this is funny because me and David we talk a lot,
Nothing
and
against the French.
we're
Just a
we're, we're,
coincidence.
we're, we're in these projects together. But basically, Samurai was one of the roughest rug I've experienced, because what the guy did, it wasn't, oh guys, you're getting rugged. I Discord, I delete Discord, I delete Twitter, I delete everything. No. So what the guy did was, after we started figuring out it was a rug, because he faked the KYC. So I saw the KYC, I was like, oh yeah, I think it was a sure DeFi or someone. They said, hey, we're doing this KYC. So I was like, okay, yeah, then I'm comfortable with investing. So I put my money in there, and then Assure came out and says, hey, they never contacted us. I was like, well, I just got rugged, but they didn't delete it. What did this guy do? He muted every single channel, and I won't say which one he didn't mute, but if you look from the comment, you would know. But he was in that channel laughing it up and offering some refunds to those people, and that really got me, like emotionally, actually got me. And so that one was rough. And another one that David will probably know is we're both in Starship DAO. This was way back in the day. So Starship DAO was supposed to be this DAO that's multi chains. It's supposed to be, you can do like 8 different chains. You can do BnB, AVAX, FTM, ETH, like all these different things. And actually, in the beginning, we're pretty bullish because it was the first one to do this. And then more information started coming out. They had a partnership with ICE, which didn't rug, even though right now it's in the gutters. But so we feel comfortable in the beginning. And then ICE came out and says, hey, we're seeing a lot of red flags. We're not doing this partnership anymore. People were starting to figure out that it is a rug, and every single comment was locked up. And I think David actually knew off the mod. He opened up a channel. It says "Run Away," and it was open for like 10-15 minutes, and everyone is in there just like talking about this project, how much rugged it is. So the guy never got away. He never got away with the rug. But we're joking around, me and David, back in the day, that this was going to be the first multi-chain rug ever. But they didn't pull it off, though. That was hilarious. It was very funny doing that whole time.
Yeah, I think one of the last projects that I'll bring up, and then we can try to close this out, was, and I was really disappointed, but I'll give them a lot of credit. I'm disappointed that the project failed, but I'm going to give them credit, and that was PapaDAO. Were any of you involved in that one?
Yep, I was.
So PapaDAO, I give them credit because they were public about it and saying, this isn't going to work, and we're just going to have to close our doors and figure something else out. So I'll give them that, because at least they didn't just take off, right? And
I think the same one, Cerberus did that too. They actually, says it's not going to work. We're going to refund whatever we have in the treasury.
Right. So I'll give them that, but it just sucks that these projects aren't functioning. But I think it's ultimately, this is just a portion of the DAO projects not fundamentally being flawed. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, this is what's happening in the space right now. And I'll be one to say that I've fallen victim to some of these projects. So I'm hoping to learn from this and to be better for it.
They would be talking about all these projects failing, but we did have some good ones recently, right? I think we're in here. We all minted the Pirates, Salty Pirates.
Yeah, Salty Pirate Crew.
Pretty
Yeah,
legit so far.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job. I was looking at it this morning. I have to still announce that, but Salty Pirate Crew won the poll in our community. So
nice.
Oh, wow, excellent.
So we're gonna reach out to them.
Wasn't okay. That's great.
Yeah, so that's the one that won. I'll try to pull it out right now while we're talking.
Yeah, that's the one I voted for personally.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good project. It's something that I was personally investing in, and I didn't want to bring other people into it prior to getting more information about it, right? So I just kind of let people know, and I let them talk about it as well within the Discord. But yeah, it came up, and let me see if I can pull this up.
And the thing I really like about Salty Pirates, I think we talked briefly before too, is that they started this channel, I think, at least 2 months ago, or somewhere around there. But they start doing treasure hunts, trying to do organic growth rather than just blasting it out to the influencers and things like that. I think right now they're trying to do marketing after the mint. And I do think that the head guy, Ocean is doxxed. I think he doxxed himself, which is good thing to see.
Myron, did you go to the Metaverse party that they threw?
I didn't go to the Metaverse party. Actually, I missed out on
Okay,
that. But
me and Draco were there. It was really cool. So you have these avatars that are like Super Nintendo, Zelda, video game avatars. And when you walk up to somebody, when you get close to them, if you're wearing a headset and have that on, you can hear that person talking, or you can walk up to a group of people and overhear their conversation. Then when you walk away from that group, the sound goes away. So it actually felt like you were at a real party. There were times where I'd walk up to people and be like, oh, I don't want to eavesdrop on their conversation. Should I walk away? Or
that's hilarious.
So it was.
I
very
wish
cool,
I made it, man. And the thing is, I think this is the first project I've been personally in that has something like that with the treasure hunts where you actually went to sort of a metaverse. And I looked at the vote, the Salty Pirates won by 1 vote, so my vote counts, guys.
Yeah, so that was the Salty Pirate crew right there. We were all hanging out on a pirate ship. At one point, one of our members, Mr. Maverick, went all the way up to the bow and held me like Leonardo DiCaprio on the Titanic. We were having a great time. Funny. It was awesome, man. But like I have to say that that was literally one of the first. Like I'll never forget that because that was my first like metaverse party. I guess you know what I'm saying.
It was cool.
I'd never experienced that before, so I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it definitely made me really excited about the project. So I'm really happy that it won the vote.
Yeah, so this is the vote, and like we try to be as transparent as possible. This is all like an online voting thing that you guys can look at. So 13 votes. So Salty Pirate Crew won by 1 vote. So the next one below that was Drip. So yeah, it won last week. So we'll reach out to that project, and we had 55 voters total. And we'll try to reach out to that project and do research on the project, do everything we can to learn about that project, and maybe potentially do an interview with them. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, actually, I'm too. I'm happy it won too, and I think a decent amount of people in the Discord are involved in this project. So now it will be good to do, I think, a deep dive on it. I think they have a lot of exciting things that they want to do, and I think this will be a good project too.
Absolutely. Well, I think we hit on a lot of topics tonight. If there's any closing words, does anybody have anything they'd like to wrap this up with?
I am still bullish on Strong Block. I do consider it like investing in a startup, so anything can happen. But we did talk about a lot of things we didn't like about the DeFi space. One thing I do love about DeFi is Strong Block.
Yeah, I agree with
you. If guys, risk management. If you're gonna go to something degen, don't throw your whole port. And I think people are saying, "Hey, I'm just throwing my lunch money," and they're throwing like $1,000. Dude, $1,000 is not your lunch money unless you're like a millionaire. If your port is 10,000, 100,000, yes, throw some couple $100. But man, please don't blow up your accounts. I have done that before. It's painful, man.
And my advice would be, and I think this is one of the things that I've said on multiple interviews and podcasts, is find yourself a group of like-minded people that you get along with to get information from and to bounce ideas off of. Don't go it alone. You will not be successful in this all by yourself. So find people, find a community. It doesn't matter what community it is, and find people to talk to so that you can get multiple perspectives and so you can avoid pitfalls and mistakes. So that would be my advice to people that are brand new to the crypto space and people that seem like they're lost in the crypto space. Find a group that you can work with. That would be my advice.
Absolutely. There's a group, that's called Bourbon-n-Blockchain, man. I think they're pretty legit, trying to look for solid projects.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's an option. It's one of many, right? All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, very nice talking to you guys tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It was good talking to you guys. Everybody, thanks for listening and thanks for showing up and watching. Good luck out there. Be safe. Do your research. And until next time, we'll talk again.
And I think, Draco, we're going to try to make this like a weekly thing. So we'll probably have a better schedule laid out, and maybe people can just have something that's more standard. They can say, oh, it's going to be on this time every single week.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the first one, and I think it'll just get more fun and better and more organized as we go along. This is a great first episode. I loved it.
Yep, same here. I look forward to doing more of these.
Absolutely.
Talk to you guys again soon.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.